Have you ever felt like the world is moving towards something inevitable? Wars, rumors, confusion, technology accelerating faster than truth. Deep inside, it feels like history is counting down to an unseen date. What if there really is a countdown? A precise plan written in heaven more than 2,500 years ago, a timeline that lays out the rise of empires, the coming of the Messiah, and the closing act of human history. It exists. It's found in the book of Daniel, chapter 9. It's called the Prophecy of the 70 Weeks. This prophecy predicted the arrival of Jesus Christ to the exact year, and it contains one final 7-year period that hasn't happened yet, a span that could begin at any moment. This is Daniel's 70 Weeks, the blueprint of time. Daniel was an old man living in exile. He read Jeremiah's scroll and realized the 70 years of captivity were almost over. He prayed, "Lord, we have sinned. Forgive us. Restore your city." Before he could finish, heaven interrupted him. An angel appeared, Gabriel, and said, "From the moment you began to pray, a command went out. I have come to tell you what has been decreed." That moment changed history. Daniel prayed about 70 years, but God answered with 77s of years. 490 decades of divine purpose, covering everything from Daniel's day to the final redemption of the world. The Hebrew word for weeks is shavuim, meaning sevens. 77s equals 490 years. Not symbolic, literal. For 490 years, Israel ignored the Sabbath year law. God gave them 70 years of exile, 1 year for every Sabbath they broke. Now he set another 490 years, not for punishment, but for redemption. Gabriel listed 6 objectives for this period: to finish transgression, to make an end of sins, to make reconciliation for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up vision and prophecy, to anoint the most holy. Only one, atonement, was fulfilled at the cross. The other 5 remain future. The countdown isn't finished. It paused. Gabriel continued, from the command to restore and rebuild Jerusalem until Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. That's 69 weeks, or 483 years. The command came from Artaxerxes to rebuild Jerusalem in 445 BC. Counting prophetic years of 360 days, you land in AD 32, the very year Jesus entered Jerusalem on a donkey. 5 centuries predicted to the year. Then Daniel wrote, after the 62 weeks, Messiah shall be cut off, but not for himself. The prophecy pointed to the crucifixion. Jesus died not for his own sins, but for ours. Within a generation, Rome destroyed the city and the temple, exactly as Daniel wrote. 69 weeks fulfilled. 1 week remains. The prophetic clock stopped at 483 years, leaving 7 years unspent. That pause began then. We are living inside it now.
Between verse 26 and 27 of Daniel 9 lies a gap, a pause in prophetic time. That pause has lasted 2,000 years. When Israel rejected her Messiah, God extended grace to the nations. Paul called it a mystery, Gentiles sharing in salvation until their full number comes in. We live in that gap, the age of grace. Every salvation, every act of faith happens inside this pause. But when the fullness is complete, the clock starts again. The world will enter Daniel's final week, the last 7 years of this age. The verse says, "He shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week." The word confirm means to strengthen, not create. A coming world ruler, called the Prince that shall come, will take an existing agreement and make it binding. He will secure peace between Israel and many nations. That action restarts the prophetic clock. At first, the world celebrates. They declare peace and safety. But halfway through, 3.5 years in, he breaks the covenant. He stops temple worship and commits the abomination of desolation by defiling the holy place. That betrayal marks the second half of the 7 years, what Jesus called the Great Tribulation. Daniel's timeline and Revelation's details match perfectly. 1,260 days, 42 months, time, times, and half a time, 2 halves of 1 week, 3.5 years of deception, 3.5 years of devastation. Through it all, God remains in control. He brings human rebellion to its end. He completes every unfinished purpose he gave Gabriel. Look around today. Israel restored as a nation. Jerusalem again the center of world tension. Nations merging through technology and economy. The pieces are ready. All that waits is the confirmation of one covenant with many. Once it is signed, the final 7 years begin. God gave prophecy in numbers to prove his control. The same precision that predicted Christ's first coming guarantees his return. Prophecy is not guessing, it is grace written in advance. We are living in the pause, the window of mercy still open. When it closes, time restarts.
Why did God measure history to the exact year? To show he rules it completely. The prophecy's precision proves his sovereignty. The God who kept 483 years to the day will keep the last 7 to the moment. If he governs centuries, he can guide one life. He can guide yours. At the end of the 70th week, every objective Gabriel named will be complete. Transgression finished. Sin ended. Atonement fully applied. Everlasting righteousness established. Prophecy sealed. The most holy anointed. A world ruled by justice and truth. A kingdom that cannot fall. That is where the timeline leads, not to destruction, but to restoration. We now live between verse 26 and 27, between the cross and the crown. Every breath is another chance to choose grace before the clock begins again. Every delay is God's patience, not hesitation. The pause is mercy. The countdown is love, but the end is certain. Paul wrote, "When they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction will come." That moment of false peace triggers the final 7 years. But for those who watch, it won't be fear, it will be confirmation. The same prophecy that marked the cross now marks the return of the King. God uses Daniel's timetable to show that no life is random. Every date he keeps proves his faithfulness. You are not lost in the noise of history. You are part of the story he wrote centuries ago. When the covenant is signed and the clock resumes, 7 years will unfold just as foretold. At the end, darkness will fall, and the true prince will stand. Time will stop. Prophecy will close. Eternity will begin. The God who started the clock in Babylon will stop it with the kingdom of Christ. The cross was the first fulfillment. The crown will be the final one. Every tick of prophecy is divine order. Every delay is mercy. So live ready. Live awake. The pause is ending. The final week approaches, and the King is coming. The prophecy that predicted the cross to the year now counts down to the kingdom to the hour. History is not random. It is his story, and the 70th week will be the last chapter.